Giving the community a voice. Haiver FM. Howe Community Radio.
Welcome to another Heeds and Hearts Scotland podcast. Our charity was founded in June 2021 to create, inspire and promote social connections through community arts projects in the Howe and wider North East Fife. We are working with communities impacted by the gradual dismantling of local infrastructure and services, lack of housing, limited transport links and the integration into our everyday lives of digital technology, contributing to social isolation and loneliness. There has been a lot of research on the effects of loneliness on our mental and physical health. It's seen as one of the biggest health concerns we face. Loneliness is as harmful to our health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Heeds and Hearts are working alongside local people and groups to build a programme of cultural activities based in the village halls. Governments and organisations such as WHO have researched the evidence supporting the value of the arts to alleviate loneliness. This can take many different forms, everything from singing to painting to writing. There are no age requirements for experiencing these benefits.
Hi, thank you for listening. My name is Ian Harrower and I'm the chair of Heeds and Hearts Scotland. In May 2022, we asked our friend Ben Anderson to record a couple of special shows for us during our Haiver FM Howe Community Radio project, which broadcast 10 hours of daily community-centred content around Mental Health Awareness Week. Ben returned to his home village of Newburgh, where he wove interviews with local creative people into his 2-hour shows, which were also packed with brilliant music. In this podcast, we feature one of those interviews with Jimmy Hutchison from Newburgh Handloom Weavers. Jimmy with his colleagues produce high-quality tweed and cloth, which is hand-woven on traditional wooden handlooms built by Thomas Kennedy of Galashiels, a loom maker established in 1870. Jimmy is also famed for his traditional singing and commitment to preserving traditional songs sung largely unaccompanied in Gaelic, Scots and English.
So I'm now going to play my first interview of this week's show, and it is with a really fascinating guy called Jimmy Hutchison. He lives and works in Newburgh doing his weaving business, and I hope you're going to find this interview really interesting.
In Forfar I was bred and born, and I would think it shame for to tell the weary life I led afore I left my hame, sir. Hurrah, hurrah, when my titiful arrow lied oh. My father was a weaver pair, as ever caught the spill, sir, and never beef come through the door except a pound at Yule, sir. Hurrah, hurrah, when my titiful arrow lied on.
So we're in Jimmy's workshop now, and he's going to talk us through some of the things that he's doing and what goes on into making one of his what would you call it?
Blankets.
One of the blankets.
Wedding blankets.
Wedding blankets specifically. So Jimmy, what is it that you're doing right now?
I'm just going to fill the perns, the bobbins, I suppose the English term for them, but the Scottish is perns. And although this looks like a spinning wheel, it's known as the muckle wheel because it's just that bit bigger, and it's for filling the perns. So here we go.
Get that
That's
out.
it, yeah. Just got a wee bit tangled up there. That's all right. This is nice. There's really nice wool from Shetland, and you can see all the slight variations in it. It's natural. This one's actually not a dyed colour. It's just some of the natural colours of the wool of the sheep. Yeah. But you can see all the different colours.
Wonderful, and that's how long it took to fill the pern,
That's
which
right,
is then ready to go into the loom.
Shuttle, so we can let you hear that going if you want.
Yes,
Yep.
please.
And this loom is made by a gentleman called, or a company called Thomas Kennedy and from Galashiels, and they started trading in 1870.
Wow.
So it's a good chance of being up to 150 years old.
Okay. And then you put the purn into the shuttle.
Into the shuttle, yeah.
Which is made of wood. What kind of wood is it?
That's a wood called persimmon.
Right.
Very, very hard. Fruit. I think it's a fruit. And then we just... Always stop on that point.
Magic. And you would have done about probably 40 stitches there.
Well, it's 12 per inch, so yeah, probably 40 or so. Yeah. Aye.
Amazing.
Aye.
And Jimmy was telling me before about the process of making the blankets, and actually he was saying the quickest part is probably in the actual weaving itself, but there is obviously a lot more that goes into the process. So what would you have to do before that and then after that?
Well, first of all, this is quite a short warp, so there's 20 metres on this, but we make that on a warping mill, and to get all the yarns all the same length, there's on this one I think about 550 ends, and then once it's right, the warping mill's like a big drum, and once you've got all of that, the full width, then you transfer it onto the back roller of the loom, and then you feed it through all these things called heddles. And each one of these is a wire with an eye in it, and each of the yarns go into one of the eyes, and that gives you your pattern on that, depending on what pattern you put them through. And this particular pattern's a herringbone, standard.
I wish you could see what I'm seeing here. It's a beautiful piece of work.
And then once they're through that, then you feed them through this thing called a reed, and then tie them onto the front of the loom, and then you weave away.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And then then you wind it on every now and again, and then move on and start again.
Nice.
But yeah, it looks quite good as well. Sounds good, so. At 3 we had to get a skill to keep me fair thrashing, and ilka Sunday to the kirk, because it was the fashion. Hurrah, hurrah, when my tetiful lero lido. At skill we learnt to read and write and count the rule of 3, but a noble thought come to my head, a soldier I would be, sir. Hurrah, hurrah, when my tetiful lero lido.
So Jimmy, what brought you back to start weaving again, and what is it about weaving that keeps you interested and passionate today?
Well, I started weaving when I was quite young, actually. In 1965 I got this old loom, and through various things I had to get rid of the loom, pass it on, because I just didn't have room for it for a while. Every now and again I'd see a bit of weaving, and that I did, and it lasts a long time, and I kept thinking, gosh, I'd love to get the loom back again, and so I bought it back from the place that got it, and where it was, and over in Alloa, and brought it down here, squeezed it into the workshop, which was full of I was still making my living as as a joiner, and gradually just started weaving again. It just took off from there really, and then we found a loom, a Kennedy loom, up in, it was in poor condition, but it was up in Knockhandu in the Highlands, in the mill there, and we brought it down and refurbished it, and we've got it going as well now. So we've got 2 big, good old Kennedy looms that'll last forever, and ready to weave. Really.
Fantastic. And I know that you're also a fine singer, and we've heard you sing, and we'll hear you sing today. Do you sing whilst you're weaving?
Not really, because I sometimes do when I'm filling the perns, but the loom itself, there's only 1 or 2 songs go with that rhythm, and it's quite loud. It's not as loud as a power loom or a mechanical loom, but it's still noisy enough. So, and you have to keep your there's a certain automaticness, if that's a word, in the weaving process, the rhythm and everything, but you have to keep your eye on everything all the time. So if your mind's on singing rather than weaving, you can watch mistakes or not notice mistakes. So,
sure.
And that's one of the benefits of working at this speed. You can see mistakes and you can stop and sort them. Hardly ever mistakes, of course, but
that comes out with experience.
Well, up to a point, yeah.
So I'd like to know about your business and its place in the community. What kind of response have you had from the local community?
Great response, actually. Everybody's very interested in it. I think half of especially the native people from Newburgh, if you would like to call them that, half of them live in cottages and called Weaver's Cottage, and a shuttle field up at the top of the street. And as you said, there was 500 weavers on looms, very like that, in the 1850s.
So I gaed into Forfartoon, that's in Forfar County, and listed there with Sergeant Brown for £30 a bounty. Ra, when my tetifalero lido.
It would be linen rather than wool. It was a centre, Newburgh. So I think people have that link. So many folk, as I say, half the closest have wee sheds up there that must have had weavers, and well, there must have been about 2-foot centres if they had 500 weavers in Newburgh. It was just but you'd have had that noise 500 times.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been bad.
Great industry, I imagine.
Yeah.
And it must be a great honour and privilege to bring that back to Newburgh.
There is a bit of that, yeah. That there are photographs of old weavers, and there's pretty much the same. I need to grow a white beard, but otherwise, they're working on looms very similar to that. And again, that was made in the 1870s, so that was circa to the time. So they would have had looms like that. Yeah, and I think people are interested in seeing the process. People haven't seen that.
Sure.
Very few.
It's not commonplace anymore.
No, that's right. Yeah. So plenty of interest. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. So we're sitting in your workshop now.
Weaving shed.
And the weaving shed. I must get that right. We're sitting in your weaving shed now. Can people pop in to see what you're up to and to see your work?
Yes, anytime they're welcome, and they know that, And in fact, from now on, and as the warmer weather comes, that door opens, so that top half of that door's open all the time. So if folk they're walking down the street, they can hear the clatter of the loom, and they look in, and they quite often drop in, and visitors as well, just touring about. We've had quite a few folk just dropped in because they've seen it. Erica's very good with Facebook and all that.
I was going to ask you about that. So right. Where would people find you locally and online? You've said they can pop into the shop anytime.
Yeah.
And online, it would just be on Facebook?
There's a Facebook page, Newburgh Handloom Weavers, And we've also got, again, the Newburgh Handloom Weavers .co.uk, where we've got a shop and everything as well. So we do sell the blankets and tweed. We've make tweed as well. Because that's what these looms were for, really, were tweed making looms. And so folk can find that way as well.
Wonderful.
And gradually word of mouth as well.
Of course.
Slower, but
Yes.
Knew all the trouble I've been through, I scarcely need to mention, for now I'm back and forfar, and I'm thriving on my pension. Hurrah, hurrah, when my 34 Lido. It's a forfar soldier. It's a great wee song. And
Wonderful.
It's jaunty.
No, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Ben and Jimmy for a fascinating insight into handloom weaving, and you can source more information, including the online shop, at newburghhandloomweavers.co.uk. We'll be sharing more special edits of Ben's interviews with the fascinating creative people of Newburgh in further episodes. People get to hear about and find podcasts like this one if you share it, rate it, and talk about it. Please follow us on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and watch out for information on a new project coming soon, and find out how you can become involved in making podcasts about creative and fascinating people in your community. Thanks for listening.
Haiver FM, Howe Community Radio, is supported by the Five Communities Mental Health and Wellbeing Fund through Fife Voluntary Action and the Scottish Government.